Harold Bergman, Jewish shamus and World War II vet, is ready to settle down with his high school flame. When a society lady offers a job too simple, Harold winds up neck deep in a 25-year-old murder tied to a dead gangster and secrets no one wants unearthed. Just as the dust settles, a regular job with an insurance outfit drags him into something darker and more sinister. Now the dead are whispering and the living are lying. He'll need the strength of his 5,000-year-old religion to survive the wickedness of the past. The Crop of Wickedness, Volume 3 of the Wichita Chronicles. Release date October 8th, 2025. The past has come to harvest.
Didion thought she was done with life until she woke up. Facing shock treatment at the state psychiatric hospital, she knows she must get out. Didion gets an unbelievable offer. Dr. Goldbrandson, a psychologist who claims to specialize in cases like hers, will take her case for free. But there is one catch. She has to move to a remote facility. Didion accepts, but soon discovers the doctor's methods may be worse than a shock to the brain. Follow Didion as she discovers the mysterious history of the Green Ward, a path that forces her to redefine reality. A history of madness, a mystery with a sci-fi twist, will have you wondering if you can believe what you see with your own eyes. Available wherever books are sold. And welcome to Tiki Man and the Viking podcast. He is Tiki Man.
I am H.P. Burlow, the author of 2 historical crime fiction series, the Ark City Confidential Chronicles and the Wichita Chronicles. He, of course, is the Viking.
I am William Bryan Johnson, author of Hell to Pay, The Dark Cry of Aristed, and Middle-Aged Man in a Trash Can. And we have a special guest today.
We always have special guests. We have a super special Kansas guest. Which is really cool for us because we're in Kansas, right?
And she is a member of the National Writers Project and the Flint Hills Writer Group right along with me. I would like to introduce A.D. Childers, who also writes short fiction as Alicia Davis, is a Kansas-born writer and educator. She loves a good mystery, especially with a paranormal twist. And her writing is full of turns that will keep the reader guessing. Her debut novel, The Switchpoint, has been described as a thinking person's book. She loves the writing of David Badalchi, Ray Bradbury, Tana French, and Kathy Reichs. Childers holds a master's degree in creative writing for educators from Fairleigh Dickinson University and is active among several writing groups in the area. She loves working with writers, and her students constantly inspire her with their creativity and brilliance. In her free time, she enjoys walking the local trails and hanging out in the public library. She lives with her wonderful husband, who, in addition to being a biggest supporter, is also a phenomenal cook.
Wow.
I think I'm sensing a cook-off. She has one ridiculously old cat and one ridiculously snuggy Great Pyrenees. Great Pyrenees Club. And also, recently was named the 2025 Kansas Notable Book for Switchpoint.
Wow, that is definitely cool.
So, and which means that she gets an award at the Kansas Book Festival coming up in September.
Fantastic.
So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So, talk a little bit about getting published with your first book.
Yeah, that must be exciting.
It really was. I had basically given up on it, to be honest. I had spent about a year. I had queried agents. I had queried publishers, probably about 100. And I had, most of the rejection letters had come in, and I had decided, well, maybe I'm just not quite strong enough yet. Maybe this one still isn't quite there. And I was talking to a friend of mine who is in a group I'm a part of called Kansas Writers Inc. We're based off Topeka here. And she said, well, you kind of write similar genre to what I write. You should talk to my publisher, which was Next Chapter. Next Chapter is a small indie publisher out of Japan.
Yeah.
And so I sent my stuff over there and they said, yeah, sure. So they took it, they, got me an editor, they got me cover art, they did all that nice stuff that I
Great.
was way too scared to do on my
Uh-huh.
own, which is why I had not gone the
Right.
self-publishing route. I was like, "Oh, I don't know how to do any of that." They have a really good platform over in as far as like I get a lot of reads in Australia and New Zealand actually. So they
Yeah.
have some good
Whoa.
reach out there, which is kind of fun. And so yeah, they picked it up and ran with it. And I just got last week I got final layouts on my next novel with them. So it should be coming
Good.
out here in
Good.
just a couple weeks or so.
Tell us a little bit about your next novel.
My next novel is called A History of Madness. It is
Oh,
I'm glad you like that.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, it is about a lady named Didion who she's in her early 20s and she has always suffered from what she believes to be hallucination. She sees these colorful kind of clouds in front of people's faces. And the book starts out with things have gotten worse for her. Now she's not only just seeing things, she's also feeling emotions that don't seem to be her own. And she has attempted to take her life. She was unsuccessful, and she wakes up in the hospital. And she ends up being taken to this psychiatric hospital, kind of in the middle of rural Iowa, middle of nowhere type setup, that deals with special cases like her. And she meets a number of other people at the Green Ward, which is the ward for this specific group of people, who all have kind of interesting traits. And she finds out it's all tied back to the Tunguska explosion in Siberia in 1908. And she has to kind of figure out what is actually going
Whoa.
on and who to trust. So
Do you want to
Amazing.
talk a little bit about that explosion?
I know that it was an explosion. I know most
Well, there
I
you
did
go.
yeah, I didn't actually go to Siberia. I should have, right?
Oh, I'd love
But
to. I don't know if the trees are still down, but I'm
I
sure they've
don't
grown
know.
back.
Yeah, I know the pictures
Right.
are
Yeah.
fascinating. Yeah, so it was this explosion, and since it was so far north, there was a lot of years before any scientists really got out there to find out what's going on. Most theories think that it was a meteor, but the explosion was similar to that in power of like a nuclear bomb. So it was massive. One of the stories I read is that a guy, I think it said 40 miles away, was knocked off of his porch when it happened, and the locals had a myth that it was from a god Ogdi up
Huh.
there. So, yeah, there was kind of some fun stuff when I was researching more about it to
And
learn,
I think that's the event that the sound wave carried light
Oh, wow.
because when it hit Britain, Britain actually the sky lit up for a certain amount of time and then it disappeared. It was the middle of the night and it just suddenly was like pre-dawn and then disappeared.
Oh,
And
that's
it's on a
crazy.
it's always on a list of the 10 most unsolved mysteries of the world. And it's great to pick something like that to use in a story because it could be, it might not be, and you can do anything you want with it. That's fantastic.
Right.
Is your work considered YA? I've read,
Um,
reviews that said it was a
so
YA book.
yeah, I don't know that I deliberately aim my work at YA. I do want to write stuff that because I teach high school and I want it to be accessible to high schoolers as well.
Okay,
But I write it more, I guess probably new adult is probably more of the range, kind of
okay,
like that early 20s.
Mhm.
But I've had people of all ages enjoy it. So my first
good.
book, it jumps back and forth between a guy in his high school year, senior year of high school, excuse me, and the current timeline, which is like 20 years later. So it
Right.
does, some of it feels kind of YA-ish because it's taking place in high school, but then you're also getting
Got it.
this kind
Got
of
it.
middle-aged guy. So, some range, I guess.
Mhm.
Good.
How do you get your ideas for your books?
I kind of have ideas rolling around for a long amount of time before I commit to one. And I've compared it to getting a cold, which doesn't sound very pleasant, but sometimes I get ideas and they're like a head cold. You have them for a few days and then it's
Mm,
like, whatever, and they move on. It's the ones that are more like the ones that settle in your chest and just keep hanging on that I'm like,
yeah.
I keep thinking about this. I keep thinking about this. Maybe I should do something with this. And then I have to decide, is this an idea that has enough to develop into a full novel, or is this more of a short story? Because I enjoy writing short stories from time to time as well. So I kind of have to decide.
Tell us a little bit about your work with some of the writers groups you're in.
So I've got a number of groups I'm a part of. I have a weekly critique group. There's We have this six now that we meet every Monday from 4 to 6 on usually on Discord, and we share our stuff and we read and we critique,
Oh, great.
So it's been amazing. It
Ah,
helps me so much. And it helps hold me accountable. That's when I really started pushing out like full novel length things, is because I had, every week I had a group of people who were like, where's your next chapter? So
that's good. That's
yeah,
good. Yeah.
it's been amazing. I'm a member of Kansas Writers Inc., which is a Topeka-based group. We have members that are from across the state, and some members that are even out of the state who started out here and then moved. But they meet once a month over at the Topeka Public Library. We usually have some sort of program on craft or marketing or something related to being an author.
Mm,
And we also have critiques. It's smaller critique. We usually only have people bring like 5 pages at a time. But especially if there's a scene that I'm not sure is hitting right or something, it's great to go because it's a little bit bigger group. Um, I also, as uh, Brian said, I'm a member of the Flint Hills Writing Project, which is for educators, people who teach writing, and that has been excellent as a support group for writers. Like
mm,
Right.
everyone in there is excited about writing, so it's a good place, and it also helps me think about how to bring it to my classroom. And I went into that just after I had finished my master's in creative writing for educators, so it was very much the logical next step, and it was very how, get in there and apply it to your students. So been a great group I've been a part of. We have a local group called the Topeka Rhymos, which is just our Topeka group that does NaNoWriMo.
mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and the major place is kind of dissolved, but we've kept going in our own little way here, and I've taken that to my school as well. I have a NaNoWriMo club that we meet in November, and Alyssa Staley, who was kind of like the head Topeka Rimo lady. She comes out and helps me start that off and kick it off with my kids
Cool.
every year. So we
Cool.
do that. And then we follow up in April with a writer's workshop. Both of these are just after school things. And so kids then on the writer's workshop side, in November, we generate a whole bunch of stuff. In April, they come back with what they've been working on and we work more critiques and that kind of thing.
Nice.
So that's that. I love doing that. That's so much fun. So.
You
I do
know,
that with my kids too, and I find a lot of kids tend to do great at the very beginning and then they just kind of steam out. But
Mhm.
just I've always told them, I said, hey, you're creating something
I tell you,
and
Exactly.
be
for
happy about that.
everything that you've always said, Brian, about the Flint Hills program, it almost makes me want to be a teacher because it sounds like a great program. And Alicia, I want to reference that. I mean, I know
Mhm.
Brian as a teacher and a writer, and we've been down to OWFI in Oklahoma where we encountered no less than half a dozen other writers who were teachers or teachers who were writers. Talk about that balance between being a teacher and being a writer and what each brings to the other.
Well, for a while I was a very confused little human being, and instead of teaching English, I taught music. Music is wonderful, but should have been more of a hobby for me. So I taught music, specifically band, for like 7 years. And it was
Oh,
really hard because when you're a band teacher, you're for like every performance, every sports game, and I just had no time
Mhm.
to write. But I loved working with the kids. Like my time in the classroom, there was no way I was giving that up. So I switched over to teaching English, which lined up a lot better with the writing
there you
thing.
go. There you go.
And I found Flint Hills really, I had had a lot of issues trying to find balance between those two, and I felt like they were in conflict. And Flint Hills Writing Project really helped me
Wow.
see that there's a synergy there. When I working on writing, I can be in the mindset of what my kids are going through, right? I was when they're first writing, like writing is always challenging. It's never an easy thing. And so I think it helps me relate to my students better. I know when my first book came out, I actually was able to have my first like book signing event there at my school, which
Oh,
was really
that's cool.
special.
That's
It was
definitely, yeah.
yeah, it was so amazing. The local bookstore came and sold the books. The librarian helped me plan everything. My principals helped me get the word out. Members of the staff made treats. We have a coffee shop on campus. They brought coffee down. Like
Oh
everyone
man.
chipped in, and it was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
amazing and special. And it really, people started talking about it in a way of it's like, oh, it's so cool that our kids get to learn from a published author. And it made me realize
Wow.
that
Yeah.
these weren't in conflict. They worked together great because the kids, some of the kids who I think would be maybe nervous about talking about being a writer or something like that, they come to me, right? They let me know that
There
they're
you
a writer,
go.
or if they let their other English teacher, or if they have someone else, because we have a pretty big department, they'll say, "Hey, go talk to Miss Davis." And so it's given me a really fun way to connect with the students.
Hmm.
And I have like Brian, you shared in my bio, I have kids who challenge me with they are so strong as writers and they put out
Wow. Great.
this amazing work and it inspires me to keep working more, right? Like because I'm like I need to do this for them. I need to help kind of lead that path so that I can help them when it's their turn. So yeah, it works beautifully well. And summers off are isn't too bad of a deal for a writer, to be honest. Like I kind of it gives
Okay.
me a
Well,
little bit of
we'll
time off to
we'll
focus.
we'll hold off on that conversation.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
for some of
right,
us who
right.
are not this is why I
Actually,
want to go
Not
and be
quite
a
as lucky
teacher.
with
There you
that.
go.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
there
yeah.
there is an interesting thing though, because I always find it hard to get back to school and not have that writing time. And
Yeah.
I'm usually a very early morning writer. I'm usually up at 6, but on the back deck, hitting the keys till about 10, and then, start the day after that. But yeah, school comes up and suddenly that time is not there anymore. And I have found that's kind of my prime time to write. If I'm not, I can do editing at any time of the day, but writing out usually is either early morning or very, very late at night.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
tougher
I
balance. Tougher balance.
yeah, it's very much I feel like when I'm on breaks I put on my full-time writer hat, right? And
Mm.
Right.
then
Okay.
when we're off, the teacher hat takes priority. But being able to have that time in the summer to really dig in and focus, like the summer, I've been working on my third novel. I'm about 25,000 words in. I'm not super
Nice.
far in. I've got a lot of research done during the school year, but it gives me a time. Like I try and kind of focus on like this is the part of my writing project I'm gonna get done during the summer, and sometimes that's when I'm going to do the full edit of the book. Maybe I have a draft pretty much done. So it gives me a time to dedicate to that, and so I do, like you said, Brian, when I go back to school, sometimes there's an adjustment period because my brain will still be generating ideas at the pace it was during the summer. And I'm like, I don't have time to write that down right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I usually, get adjusted pretty quickly. And I feel like, my time in the classroom helps as well because it does keep me from getting too far down the writing rabbit hole, which I can easily do.
Mm.
It makes me like go do something else and hang out with other people and get some different perspectives, younger perspectives on writing. And so, to me, I really need both. I think I need both to feel good about things. They both make me really happy. So.
And we will continue our interview with A.D. Childers in a couple weeks. Stay tuned and read a book.
Tiki Man and the Viking Podcast brought to you by Rumination of Thunder Media. The following intro and outro music was used for this media project. The music Find Them by Alexander Nakrata. Free download from filmmusic.io. License Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International.